There is something I need to tell you today that has been sitting quietly in my heart for a very long time. In fact, I have carried this thought through sleepless nights, through family dinners, through moments when the world was watching my son, and moments when nobody was. It is not about business. It is not about money. It is not about success. It is about something far more personal than that. It is about love. And recently, I learned something about my son's future wife that left me completely speechless. Not because it was shocking in the way people imagine, not because it was dramatic, but because it revealed a truth so deep, so simple, and so beautiful that I could not stop thinking about it. Sometimes, as mothers, we spend years believing we know exactly what our children need. We convince ourselves we understand the future that would make them happiest. Then one small realization arrives and changes everything we thought we knew. Before I share more of this story, may I ask you for a small favor? If these conversations warm your heart, gently press like and subscribe so we can continue spending these quiet moments together. Tell me where you are watching from, and what time it is where you are right now. I always smile, imagining women from different corners of the world, listening together. If someone you love might need this conversation, please share it with them. Sometimes one heartfelt message arrives exactly when someone needs it most. You know, when people hear my son's name, they often imagine rockets, technology, headlines, interviews, and enormous responsibilities. They see ambition. They see achievement. They see the version of him that appears on screens and magazine covers. But I have always known another version. I knew the boy before the world knew the man. I knew the child who would disappear into his thoughts for hours. I knew the young dreamer, whose mind traveled faster than his body. I knew the son who carried enormous hopes and enormous burdens, long before most people understood either one. And because I know that version of him, I have spent many years thinking about the woman who might one day stand beside him. Tell me something honestly. Have you ever looked at someone you love and wondered whether anyone would truly understand them? Not admire them, not benefit from them, not be impressed by them, truly understand them. I think many mothers know exactly what I mean. There is a difference between being loved for what you do and being loved for who you are. That difference matters more than almost anything else in life. For years, people assumed that the ideal woman for my son would need to be extraordinary in obvious ways. They imagined someone glamorous, someone famous, someone powerful, someone who could effortlessly stand in the spotlight. And perhaps those qualities seem important from the outside. But as I grew older, I began noticing something that changed my perspective completely. The happiest couples I met were rarely the ones who looked perfect together. They were the ones who felt safe together. They were the ones who could sit in silence without discomfort. They were the ones who did not have to perform for each other. That realization followed me everywhere. I would watch older couples walking hand in hand through airports. I would see husbands carrying bags while their wives laughed at stories they had heard 100 times before. I would notice the quiet kindness between people who had shared decades together. And every time I saw those moments, I found myself asking the same question. Could my son find that kind of peace? Could he find someone who would love not only the extraordinary parts of him but also the exhausted parts, the uncertain parts, the lonely parts? Many women watching today understand something important about life. The older we become, the more we realize that love is not sustained by excitement alone. Attraction matters, chemistry matters, romance matters, but eventually, every relationship arrives at ordinary days, and ordinary days reveal everything. How do two people speak to each other when nobody is watching? How do they treat each other when they disagree? How do they respond when one person is struggling? Those moments tell the truth. I remember a period when I sat alone one evening, thinking about all the things people believe create lasting relationships. Beauty changes, circumstances change, wealth changes, careers change, health changes, nearly everything changes, yet some couples remain deeply connected through all of it. Why? The answer seems surprisingly simple. They keep choosing each other, again and again, not once, not twice, every day. Have you ever loved someone through a difficult season? Have you ever remained beside a person when life became complicated? If you have, then you already know that real love is not measured during easy moments. It is measured during uncertain ones. Anyone can stay when life feels effortless. Staying when life becomes challenging requires something much deeper. As a mother, I often found myself imagining conversations with the woman who might someday become part of our family. Not conversations about status or accomplishments. Conversations about the heart. I imagined asking her what makes her feel safe, what makes her laugh when she is sad, what kind of future she dreams about when nobody is influencing her answers. I imagined asking whether she believes love grows stronger through honesty or through sacrifice. And perhaps most importantly, I imagined asking whether she understands that even the strongest people need tenderness. That last thought became increasingly important to me. The world often assumes that successful people do not need emotional support because they appear strong. But strength does not eliminate human needs. Sometimes the strongest people become the most exhausted because everyone assumes they are fine. They become so accustomed to carrying responsibilities that they forget what it feels like to be cared for. One afternoon, while reflecting on all these things, I realized something that truly surprised me. The woman who would make the best wife for my son might not be the woman most people expect. She might not be the loudest voice in the room. She might not be the most celebrated person at a party. She might not chase attention at all. Instead, she might possess a quiet emotional intelligence that allows her to see what others miss. She might notice when someone is overwhelmed before they say a word. She might understand that listening can be more powerful than speaking. And that realization left me speechless, because it forced me to reconsider everything. For years, people asked what kind of woman could keep up with my son. Suddenly I found myself asking a different question entirely. What kind of woman could help him slow down? What kind of woman could remind him that life is more than responsibilities? What kind of woman could create a home that feels peaceful, rather than impressive? I would love to know your thoughts. Do you believe a successful man needs a woman who matches his ambition, or a woman who brings balance to his life? Perhaps the answer is both. Perhaps the greatest relationships are built when two people strengthen each other in different ways. Tell me what you think, because these are the questions I have been carrying in my heart for years. There is another truth I discovered that many people overlook. A future wife is not simply joining a man. She is joining his story. She is joining his memories, his fears, his habits, his dreams, his disappointments, and everything that shaped him before she arrived. And he must do the same for her. Real love requires curiosity. It requires the willingness to keep learning about another person long after the excitement of the beginning fades. The truth that left me speechless began revealing itself slowly. It arrived through observations, conversations, and quiet reflections. At first I did not fully understand what I was seeing, but eventually the pattern became impossible to ignore. The woman who would truly belong beside my son would need one rare quality above all others. A quality so uncommon that many people spend their entire lives searching for it without realizing its value. And when I finally recognized what that quality was, I sat completely still, staring out a window, thinking about how profoundly it could change everything. I sat there for a very long time after that realization, staring out the window as the afternoon slowly faded into evening. The room around me became quiet, but my thoughts became louder. I kept returning to the same question over and over again. What is the one quality that matters most when choosing a life partner? Not the quality that attracts attention. Not the quality that creates headlines. Not the quality that impresses strangers. The quality that helps two people remain deeply connected 20 years later, when the excitement of the beginning has settled into the reality of everyday life. The answer surprised me, because it was not what most people spend their lives searching for. The quality was emotional safety. When I finally understood that, I felt almost overwhelmed. Emotional safety is such a simple phrase, yet it contains an entire world inside it. It means being able to speak honestly without fear. It means feeling accepted, even when you are imperfect. It means knowing that your weaknesses will not be used against you. It means feeling understood instead of judged. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized that this was exactly what my son would need from the woman who eventually becomes his wife. You see, many people assume that a man who appears confident never feels vulnerable, but every human being carries vulnerable places inside their heart. Every single one. Some people simply become better at hiding them. The world often sees strength and assumes there is no pain underneath it. The world sees achievement and assumes there is no loneliness. The world sees confidence and assumes there is no fear. But life has taught me something different. Sometimes the people carrying the greatest responsibilities are the ones who most desperately need a place where they can simply be human. Have you ever been that place for someone? Have you ever sat beside a person and allowed them to remove the mask they wear for everyone else? If you have, then you understand how sacred that responsibility truly is. As a mother, I have watched my son carry enormous expectations. Expectations from the world. Expectations from organizations. Expectations from people who have never met him. Expectations from those who admire him and those who criticize him. The weight of those expectations follows a person everywhere, and that is why I no longer believe the right woman for him is the one who shines the brightest in public. I believe she is the woman who creates peace in private. There is a difference. One attracts attention. The other heals exhaustion. One impresses strangers. The other understands silence. One builds an image. The other builds a home. The older I become, the more convinced I am that peace is one of the greatest gifts one human being can offer another. When I think about the future wife of my son, I do not imagine a woman trying to compete with him. I do not imagine someone trying to outshine him. I do not imagine a relationship built around proving who is stronger or smarter or more important. I imagine partnership, real partnership, the kind where both people feel safe enough to be themselves, the kind where success belongs to both of them and challenges belong to both of them, the kind where neither person has to earn love every day because love has already chosen to stay. Tell me honestly, have you ever been in a relationship where you felt you constantly had to prove your worth? Where you felt that one mistake could change everything? Where you felt you were being evaluated instead of loved? Many women know that feeling. And if you know that feeling, then you also know how beautiful it is when someone finally accepts you exactly as you are. That acceptance changes people. It allows them to relax. It allows them to trust. It allows them to become more fully themselves. That is what I hope for my son. Not perfection, not fantasy, not a fairy tale. Trust. Because trust creates everything else. I remember speaking with an older woman many years ago. She had been married for decades. Her husband had experienced success, failure, financial challenges, health concerns, and countless life changes. I asked her what kept their marriage strong for so many years. Her answer was surprisingly simple. She said, "I never stopped trying to understand him, not control him, not change him, understand him." Those words stayed with me. Understanding is one of the purest forms of love. Many people listen while waiting for their turn to speak. Very few people listen to truly understand. The future wife who left me speechless in my thoughts was not defined by beauty, status, education, or social influence. She was defined by her ability to understand, to notice what is not being said, to recognize emotional needs before they become emotional wounds, to care about the person behind the accomplishments. That kind of woman is rare, very rare. And perhaps that is why she became impossible for me to stop thinking about. I began imagining what their conversations would look like after long days. Not dramatic conversations, not movie scenes, simple conversations. The kind that happen in kitchens, the kind that happen during late-night walks, the kind that happen while sitting quietly together after everyone else has gone home. Those ordinary moments matter more than people realize. A marriage is not built from grand gestures alone. It is built from thousands of small moments. A hand reaching across a table, a supportive glance, a gentle question, a patient response, a sincere apology, a shared laugh, a quiet reassurance. Tiny moments become years, years become a lifetime, and a lifetime becomes a love story. One thing I have learned about mature love is that it becomes less concerned with excitement and more concerned with consistency. Excitement comes and goes, consistency stays. Anyone can make promises during happy moments. Character is revealed when life becomes difficult. I often wonder how many people choose relationships based on how someone makes them feel during good times, while forgetting to consider how that person behaves during hard times. That question matters, because eventually every relationship faces challenges, every single one, no exceptions. There will be disagreements, there will be disappointments, there will be misunderstandings, there will be seasons when life feels overwhelming. The right partner is not the person who prevents those challenges. The right partner is the person who helps you face them. That is the difference. As I reflected on all of this, another truth slowly revealed itself. The woman who belongs beside my son will need courage, not the dramatic kind people celebrate publicly, quiet courage, the courage to be honest, the courage to communicate, the courage to remain kind during difficult conversations, the courage to protect love instead of pride. Many relationships fail because two people become more committed to being right than being connected. Have you noticed that? Have you ever experienced it? A relationship can survive many challenges, but it struggles when pride becomes more important than understanding. The older I become, the more I admire people who choose connection over ego. Those people build lasting relationships. Those people create strong families. Those people leave behind meaningful legacies. And that brings me to something else that has occupied my thoughts recently. Family. Not just marriage. Family. Because when I imagine my son's future wife, I am not only imagining a relationship between two people, I am imagining generations. I am imagining traditions. I am imagining shared memories. I am imagining holidays filled with laughter. I am imagining children learning about kindness from the examples set before them. I am imagining a home where people feel welcomed, valued, and loved. Perhaps that sounds old-fashioned, but I believe family remains one of the most important things in the world. Success is wonderful, achievement is wonderful, recognition is wonderful, but at the end of the day, people long for connection, people long for belonging, people long for love. That longing exists in all of us. Even those who appear completely independent, even those who seem too busy, even those who claim they do not need anyone. Deep down, most human hearts are searching for the same thing: someone who sees them, someone who understands them, someone who stays. And as I continued reflecting on everything I had learned about the woman who could truly share my son's future, I discovered one final truth that moved me more deeply than I expected. It was a truth about love itself. A truth that changed the way I viewed relationships forever. Because the woman who belongs beside him is not simply someone who loves him. She is someone who inspires him to become an even better version of himself. And the moment I realized exactly how powerful that kind of love can be, I found myself remembering a conversation from years ago that suddenly took on an entirely new meaning. That conversation returned to me so clearly that it felt as though it had happened yesterday. I remember sitting quietly after a long day, listening more than speaking. The discussion moved through many different subjects, but eventually it arrived at something deeper. Someone asked a question that seemed simple at first. What is the greatest gift one person can give another? People offered different answers. Some said loyalty, others said honesty, some said support, some said sacrifice. All of those answers were beautiful, but years later, as I thought about my son's future wife, I finally understood the answer that resonated most deeply with me. The greatest gift one person can give another is belief, not blind belief, not unrealistic belief, genuine belief. The kind that sees both strengths and weaknesses and chooses to stay anyway. The kind that sees imperfections without allowing them to erase potential. The kind that gently reminds someone who they are when they begin forgetting. That realization touched my heart more than I can explain, because when I imagine the woman who may someday stand beside my son, I do not imagine someone who worships him. I do not imagine someone who follows him. I do not imagine someone who loses herself in his identity. I imagine a woman strong enough to remain herself while loving him deeply. A woman who has her own dreams, her own values, her own purpose, her own voice. Real love does not require people to become smaller. Real love allows people to become more fully themselves. I wish more people understood that. So many women spend years trying to become what they think someone else wants. So many women silence pieces of themselves, hoping it will create acceptance. So many women carry the exhausting burden of pretending. But the healthiest love never asks you to abandon who you are. The healthiest love invites you to bring your full self into the relationship. That is what I hope for my son, and that is what I hope for every woman listening today. Tell me something. Have you ever felt completely accepted by another person? Not tolerated, not managed, not judged, accepted, exactly as you are. If you have experienced that feeling, even once, then you know how rare it truly is. And if you have not experienced it yet, please never stop believing it is possible, because it is. Love at its best creates freedom. It creates safety. It creates growth. It creates healing. As I reflected on all of this, I began thinking about the difference between attraction and compatibility. Attraction often arrives quickly. Compatibility reveals itself slowly. Attraction can begin with a glance. Compatibility is discovered through years of ordinary moments. Attraction notices appearance. Compatibility notices character. Attraction may open a door. Compatibility determines whether two people can build a life together after walking through it. Many people confuse those two things, and perhaps that is understandable. The beginning of a relationship is exciting. Everything feels new. Every conversation feels meaningful. Every moment feels significant. But eventually life settles into routines, and that is where the real story begins. Can two people still enjoy each other when life becomes ordinary? Can they still laugh together? Can they still communicate honestly? Can they still support each other through disappointment? Can they still choose kindness when patience is being tested? Those questions matter more than people realize. Because marriages are not built on extraordinary days. They are built on ordinary ones. I often think about the women watching me right now. Many of you have loved deeply. Many of you have experienced heartbreak. Many of you have raised families. Many of you have sacrificed dreams for people you loved. Many of you have carried burdens nobody else fully understood. And because of those experiences, you understand something younger people sometimes overlook. Love is not merely a feeling. Love is a decision repeated over and over again. Every day, every season, every challenge, every triumph. That decision becomes the foundation of everything. There is another truth I want to share with you. The right woman for my son will not be perfect. And thank goodness for that. Perfection is exhausting. Perfection is impossible. Perfection creates distance. Authenticity creates connection. I would much rather see him with a woman who is genuine than a woman who appears flawless. Someone who can laugh at herself. Someone who can admit mistakes. Someone who can apologize when necessary. Someone who understands that growth matters more than image. Because real life is messy. Families are messy. Relationships are messy. People are messy. And yet love somehow finds a way to flourish in the middle of all that beautiful imperfection. The more I reflected on this, the more I realized why the truth about my son's future wife left me speechless. It was not because I discovered who she is. It was because I discovered what she represents. She represents hope. The hope that meaningful love still exists. The hope that genuine connection is still possible. The hope that two people can find each other despite all the noise and distractions of modern life. The hope that kindness still matters. The hope that character still matters. The hope that emotional intelligence still matters. The hope that a strong relationship can still become a sanctuary in a complicated world. That realization filled my heart with gratitude. Because if there is one thing life has taught me, it is that love remains one of the most powerful forces we will ever experience. Not because it makes life perfect. Because it makes life meaningful. Money can create comfort. Success can create opportunities. Achievement can create recognition. But love creates meaning. And meaning is what people remember. Years from now, very few people will remember every accomplishment. Very few people will remember every headline. Very few people will remember every achievement. But people remember how they were loved. They remember who stood beside them. They remember who believed in them. They remember who stayed. Those memories become treasures. Those memories become legacy. Those memories become the stories families tell for generations. As a mother, that matters deeply to me. I want my son to experience a relationship built on trust, a relationship built on respect, a relationship built on friendship, a relationship built on laughter, a relationship built on honesty, a relationship built on the quiet confidence that comes from knowing someone is truly on your side. Because eventually every person reaches a stage in life where they understand something profound. Being admired is wonderful. Being understood is priceless. Being celebrated is wonderful. Being accepted is priceless. Being noticed is wonderful. Being loved is priceless. And perhaps that is the truth that left me speechless. Not a name, not a face, not a prediction. The realization that the woman who belongs beside my son is not defined by what the world sees. She is defined by what she brings into his life. Peace instead of chaos. Understanding instead of judgment. Partnership instead of competition. Encouragement instead of criticism. Love instead of performance. If she possesses those qualities, she will already have something more valuable than anything money can buy. And if you are listening to me right now, I hope you remember this. Whether you are married, widowed, divorced, single, searching for love, or reflecting on love that once existed, your value has never depended on someone choosing you. Your value has always existed. Love does not create your worth. Love reveals it. Never forget that. You deserve a relationship where you feel safe. You deserve a relationship where your voice matters. You deserve a relationship where kindness is present even during disagreements. You deserve a relationship where trust is protected. You deserve a relationship where you can be fully yourself. And if that kind of love has already entered your life, treasure it, protect it, nurture it, never take it for granted. Because genuine love is one of life's rarest gifts. As I sit here thinking about the future, thinking about family, thinking about everything I have learned as a mother, one feeling rises above all others. Hope. Hope for my son. Hope for the woman who may someday walk beside him. Hope for every woman listening. Hope for every heart that still believes meaningful love is possible. Because despite everything happening in the world, despite every disappointment and every heartbreak, I still believe in love. I believe in second chances. I believe in emotional connection. I believe in lasting commitment. I believe in kindness. I believe in family. And most of all, I believe that somewhere, at the right moment, two lives can meet and quietly change each other forever. The future is built by those who don't wait for permission.